Mm, 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 mm. Look, these are my drums, drums of my people. Um, let's see. So today is going to be a little more of a chitter chat, although we do have a theme this week. We do have topics every day. Um, but I think too, right? The theme for this week is it's perfect actually. It couldn't be more fitting. Although, when I think about it, it probably wouldn't matter what I was talking about. I could still be able to infuse um, the current climate into the things that we talk about on Day to Day with Dorothy and the show in general. Um, but I think one element of leadership, right, that's so important is to not be tone deaf. I think, well, I have a lot of thoughts, right? So let's start there. And, when I was looking at my productivity for today, I haven't been as productive as I would have liked. I got some stuff done, but not much. I did put these lashes on for y'all today, and that was it. Lashes and lip gloss. Look, like we have lashes in leadership, lashes and lip gloss. That's all we have. So no makeup. We'll see how the playback looks. I'm like, yikes. What were you thinking? Zero makeup today, but whatever. Thanks for tuning in, Britain. Welcome, shoulder roll, shoulder roll. Welcome to today's episode. So, this week is Culture Week, and really talking about culture and the role that it plays in leadership. Hello to the now leaders. Thank you for tuning in. Shoulder roll, shoulder roll. So I need to type in the title. Look, and I don't have any notes today. So I'm like, what is my title? It's on Facebook, and then once I go live, I can't see it. But if my mind serves me right, today's title is When Belonging Matters. So fundamentally, right, if I take a step back and look over not just my career but my personal life, friendships that I've had, people that I've talked to, different people in different environments, different industries across the board, while I say when belonging matters, I know for folks with this skin tone, you haven't always experienced feeling like you truly belong somewhere. And so that's why, to me, it's an important call out as we jump into Culture Week, because I think sometimes as leaders, we're not always thinking about the role that culture plays in leadership. Sometimes we're just thinking about, well, this is how I want to show up. This is my authentic self. This is me, and this is how I'm going to build a great team. And then we don't always think about the environment that we're creating, which would then be the culture. Hello, Tony. Welcome to today's episode. So, when we think about leadership and culture, these two things live together. And even when we have um, tiny teams, right? Tiny but mighty, culture still prevails. We're still creating an environment, even if there's only a couple of us. And so the reason why I wanted to talk about belonging, so belonging was on the list to talk about anyway when I was planning my content. Um, I try to plan it out like 3 or 4 weeks in advance as far as what the topics are going to be. I may not have all the notes, but as far as what the topics are going to be, I try to be planful. So today was going to be about belonging, but how fitting after all of these events, right? In some instances, I think depending on where you are, you may feel like the United States is basically burning down to the ground, right? So I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. There were riots here over the weekend. There were protests. Today there was a cleanup on MLK Drive because, there were multiple businesses that were destroyed. And one of the businesses that was destroyed on MLK Drive this past weekend was a Walgreens. And for many of those residents, there's not like another Walgreens that's really close by. And that's, where they get all of their prescriptions. And so it's kind of a lot, right? And the weight is heavy, the burden is heavy, the stress is heavy. And for people who, look like me, today we are back at work, right? So the weekend, all of the things, said by the president, the things that went on in all of the different cities in response to what started in Minneapolis, plus other things. It's just, it's a heavy burden to carry and then go back to work on Monday. And then depending on where you are, your state is open. So you are physically in the office, social distancing, of course, because let's not forget that this is all in the middle of a pandemic. And then the belonging piece just starts to ring all over the place because I remember being in corporate and I remember these types of atrocities and tragedies happening and my organizations never saying anything when it came to these specific type of atrocities. But then when there were other types of incidences where, folks are literally being murdered in cold blood, there would be, you know, funds that would be sent out. There would be support. There would be an opportunity to address your worries, address your concerns, and to really be able to express how upset or frustrated you are. And for me, as a person of color and as a Black woman, I just would find those things very frustrating because one doesn't seem more important than the other. If this event where people were murdered is tragic, the events surrounding Brianna, Ahmaud, and George are equally tragic, right? So why do we address one and provide support and funding for one and not the other? Why do we provide a platform for one and not the other? And the reason why belonging plays a role in all of this is because when we feel like we belong in that culture, in that work environment, we are then set up to drive that high performance, high purpose culture. We can't do it when we don't feel like we belong because we can't truly engage and it doesn't send off the signals in our brain to let us know that we're safe. The brain doesn't get any of those signals. Yes, hello TCS mommy and daddy. Thanks for joining. Had to put on my spectacles to see what was going on. Thanks for joining, business partners. Sarah Noble's here, y'all. Shoulder rolls. So when I think about the challenges that are faced with employees of color, specifically with black employees having to go into work and act like everything's okay. I remember going to work after finding out that George Zimmerman was not going to be convicted for Trayvon's murder. Was I surprised? No, I wasn't surprised, but it was the weight and the stress and the anxiety. And as I'm thinking about at that time, all of my coworkers who have teenage boys that they are trying to raise in the wake of this situation, it all becomes very heavy, right? But then your colleagues are breezing past like you shouldn't be upset, or breezing past like, well, I'm not going to say anything to you. But that doesn't make us feel like we belong. Think about if in your family something tragic happened, and let's say you've got 5 siblings and then your 2 parents, and something tragic happens to one of the siblings, right? And I can't even think of anything, right? But let's say something really, really bad happens, and then the whole family basically says nothing to that sibling. They just act like nothing has happened. Everything carries on as scheduled. There's no time set aside to address worries and concerns. Nothing is done for this one sibling that clearly has had something um, notable happened that they may not be able to deal with and process on their own. And they just need that support. They need to feel like they are part of the environment, part of the culture, part of the system. That is part of leadership. Thanks for tuning in, Kermaya. Thanks for Shoe Crazy Wine. Thanks for tuning in. And let's see who else we have. TCS Auntie, shoulder rolls to all of you. So it's Culture Week. And today we're talking about specifically when belonging matters. But my focus in talking about belonging is really surrounding what has been going on across the United States these last couple days, but really these last several years. But it has been particularly tense, especially, I believe, having the most, to me, right? This is all my opinion, having the most insensitive oppressor at the head of the free world makes all of this worse. All of it becomes heightened and worse because of who is supposed to be leading and modeling the way. Like, leadership is not being demonstrated in any way. More so, it's being ridiculous, tyrannical, nonsensical, thoughtless, whatever the case may be. And again, these are just my thoughts and my opinions, but I believe wholeheartedly when you have the right leader in place and when tragedy strikes, they know how to create this sense of belonging. Let me tell you something. If you are in an organization that has nothing to say about what has been going on, that's very telling. One attribute of leadership, there are several, but one attribute or characteristic of leadership is courage, right? And a lot of these CEOs, we talked about this last week, probably the week prior, as far as who is leading the majority of the organizations, especially the large organizations that we all know really well. A lot of times, the CEO is a male and the CEO is white. But even in that privilege, you have to take a step back and figure out how to say what needs to be said. And if you don't have the right words, leaning on the people who can help you articulate what needs to be articulated. That's why organizations have employee resource groups. That's why they have ERGs, BRGs, and whatever else they want to call it to give employees the platform so that things aren't left by the wayside. And what I mean by that is it can't just be everybody making decisions in isolation, right? If you work in an organization that really addresses a broad array of customers and clients, you want to have BRGs and ERGs in place. Because when you want to run this ad and you're trying to target the military spouse or the military demographic, you probably have a veterans BRG or ERG, and you can tap on them to say, does this make sense? Can we do it like this? If you're trying to tap into the LGBTQ, if you're trying to tap into that demographic and you have that BRG or ERG present, before you come out with the advertisement, before you come out with anything, tap that resource so that you're not creating in a bubble, right? And all of this fuels and feeds this idea of belonging. But belonging doesn't happen overnight. But I will tell you what, the leader that is committed to creating this environment, this culture of belonging, is going to notice a huge difference in how people show up at work day to day. And in talking with constituents, previous clients, and customers of TCS, and reaching out, they're saying the same thing. Like, they don't want to be tone deaf as to what is going on in the United States, but they also know that their Black employees, male and female, are not okay. Because if you think about the state of emergency, you're literally not safe anywhere. Because really, you should be safer at home, but you're not safe there. You can't be at home. You can't jog. You can't drink a cup of coffee. You cannot be in your car. You cannot walk on the street. You cannot ask people to take their dog and put it on a leash. You literally cannot do anything without having to think in the back of your mind, you can't go to the store. You can't wear a hoodie. Like, you have to dress a certain way. You have to present yourself a certain way. And it's very easy to feel like, oh, well, they should have done this or they should have done that. But we don't say that when it's people who don't look like us. We don't come back with that same type of rebuttal, right? And ultimately, when you have all of these thoughts weighing down on you, and then you go to work and people ask you how you're doing, and they truly mean it as a greeting and not to be insensitive, I think it can be touch. It can be touchy, it can be challenging, it can be difficult. Ooh, you are amazing with your words. I hope people hear your words. Ooh, thank you. Shoulder roll. Yes, I hope so. It is Gemini season, and I'm coming out with a birthday bundle. Yes, I am. I'm excited about it. So, ultimately, the thing that I noticed when I was in corporate, when these things started to happen back to back to back with Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, like Sandra Bland, and nothing was being said, that doesn't create a place of belonging, right? For people who look like me. And we are part of the organization. We are part of the culture. When we come in, we change the culture. When we leave, we change the culture. And I'm saying anybody. Anytime you introduce new humans into your organization, inherently the culture is going to change and shift. But the culture needs to be one that is inclusive, right? And easier said than done. But when we start to look at the role and the importance of belonging and the difference that that can make as far as engagement goes, as far as motivation goes, and as far as being able to raise your hand and say, hey, I need help. Hey, I made a mistake. Because what the belonging does is it tells us, yes, we're a family. You're safe here. You belong here. We want you here. We're not going to act like you're invisible. We see you. We hear you. And while we may not understand, we want to at least try. I watch, now that, since outside is closed, I watch usually 2 or 3 sermons on Sundays since I can't go to like a physical church. And something that Stephen Furtick said of Elevation Church, I just love that dude, right? He said, you know what? Like, I'm a white guy, and I've never talked to anybody black, whether they go to this church or they're my friends or, somebody that I grew up with, as these things continue to happen, and they've never said, I wish you would just feel sorry for me. I wish you would just feel bad for me. That is not what they're saying, ever. He's like, no black person has ever said that to me. Feel sorry for me and be sad for me. No. Do something or say something, right? A few weeks ago, one of the things I posted was that we can learn to say what needs to be said. And we don't have to perform character assassinations. We don't have to tear people to shreds, but we can absolutely learn what needs to be said. We are empowered with a voice for a reason. And as leaders, we have to step out courageously and figure out what needs to be said in the spirit, right, of holding people close before we hold them accountable, but also thinking about what kind of culture do we want to create? Do you want people to feel safe? Do you want people to feel connected, right? One of the things that makes great cultures that we have come to know and love, like best companies to work for, like Zappos and Google, and some of these great the Spurs, right, the basketball team. Some of these great cultures are created because of their expert ability to create belonging and send those belonging cues to their employees, even during tough and difficult times and situations, right? And so, as leaders, we all have to decide what kind of culture do we want to create, because it starts with belonging. When people feel like they belong, when they feel like this is their place and they can bloom where planted, it can honestly be a game changer. And this week we're going to be talking all about culture. right? This is Culture Week. Last week was Remarkable Women Lead Differently. And each week I try to pick a theme so that it helps me to just stay on topic. But that's just my 2 cents about belonging, why it's important, why we need to consider it as leaders. And in this particular environment, we don't want to be tone deaf. And even if we don't know what to say, even if we're scared to speak up, your voice is there for you to be able to speak up, because as the leader, people are looking to you to see what you're going to do next. And if you're curious about these different leadership attributes that I've spoken about, not just today, but over the last several weeks, feel free to mosey on over to the link in the bio and, check out the plug, right? Click it so that you can read a little bit about it, see how it helps you become the remarkable leader that everyone wants to know. Because these attributes play a role in helping us transform in our leadership, right? We have to be humble. We need to be operating with integrity. We have to be confident. We need to have vision. We need to be courageous. There needs to be some passion there. All of these things are really important. And we talk about all of those in my new ebook. Who do we have? Jana, my Jana. Yes. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Shoulder roll. Today, we've been talking about culture and the importance of belonging in the culture that we're in, whatever culture that we're working in. So yeah, that's kind of, where I'm at. Those are my thoughts. And again, they're just my thoughts. We don't all have to agree, but I will say this, absolutely without a doubt. When employees feel like they belong, they are way more likely to contribute to high performing, high purpose cultures. And the last thing I'll say before I get out of here is that being in a culture where you feel like you belong doesn't mean that that culture has to be bouncing off the walls and everything is just happy-go-lucky all the time and everybody's all smiles. That's not what it means to be in a culture that is embracing this concept of belonging. Being in a culture where you feel like you belong means that you can get the feedback that needs to be said, and you know that you're truly part of this family. We want you here, and we have these high expectations of you because you can do it. That doesn't necessarily mean that everybody's like clapping all the time and smiling all the time. That's not what that means. But when you're in a culture where people believe that you can, they know that you can do it, and they want you there because they see you, right? They see you and they hear you. It's a game changer. And so in this environment with everything going on, we cannot shrink back with our leadership. We just can't. We have to use our voice to say what needs to be said. And we definitely need to be thoughtful. We absolutely need to be courageous, but it absolutely must be done. Saying I don't know what to say, or it's not my place, or I'm just not sure, or whatever other excuse we might try to throw out there, that simply will not do. That is not leadership. Mm-mm. And then that means that we have to work on our confidence to make sure that we've got that squared away, right? And so, like I said, if any of these attributes are resonating with you, definitely click the link in the bio to take a look and explore and learn a little bit more about the plug, Become the Remarkable Leader Everyone Wants to Know. There are definitely a couple different options available. You could get the ebook, you could get the bundle. I'm coming out with the birthday bundle today. So that bundle is going to be a t-shirt plus the hard copy, because this has the journal in the back. Yes, journal, because did you know that writing things down helps you retain more information? And given the current circumstances, writing is actually considered a form of meditation. And who doesn't need a meditation with all of this going on? So the new bundle is going to be a t-shirt. It'll come, you have options. So you can order the black t-shirt. It is, you've seen it on me before if you've been tuning in for a while. Super cute. So the black t-shirt has the TCS colors, so the teal and the purple. Or you can order the classic plug t-shirt, which is the gold t-shirt. And then it comes with the hard copy plus the journal plus the digital copy. So I will be dropping that at some point today. I just got to get my poop in a group, y'all. Listen, I told you I came on here with no makeup. I put these lashes on for you, like, and I put this. Listen, you know, I like usually take a picture like today on Live Day to Day with Dorothy. So I've got this like high low shirt. It's pretty exciting. So you'll have to tell me what you think about it. But as I wrap up, please stay safe. Please stay sane. Please know that you are loved, right? You are loved. And please know that I'm definitely thinking of all of the people who are trying to figure out how to navigate this as a leader, right? Regardless of skin tone. But for all of my people who are being thoughtful about how to navigate these times in a way that really brings this concept and idea of leadership to life, kudos to you. Pat on the back to you. And this stuff isn't easy. I don't know that I ever said that it would be. But in the face of adversity, in the face of obstacles, in the face of challenges, our ability to rise up, right, and be courageous is absolutely a marker of what we're capable of. And it demonstrates to those who follow us why they follow us, right? Because part of leadership is doing the hard thing. And especially doing the hard thing if no one else is doing it. And so, to all of the CEOs who are allowing for a platform for their employees of color, specifically the Black employees, to be able to have an outlet to say what they have to say, to at least address their worries and concerns, kudos to you as well. Because, like I said, I listed a bunch of people who just died unnecessarily and senselessly. And the organizations that I was with during those times said absolutely nothing. They didn't even say boo. So, to all of the CEOs who are not acting tone deaf in this crazy, crazy time, because let's not forget that it's a whole pandemic going on, kudos. Because that's absolutely the right thing to do. And even for them, if they feel it's not popular, it's the right thing, right? And so that all ties into leadership and creating a culture where people feel like this is for me, like this is my family. I belong here. And I can show up as myself because I'm going to be safe and I can connect with these people. And we have got this vision and this mission that I can align with and move forward with. So that's my 2 cents, y'all. You don't need makeup. You look great. Oh, thanks. I feel like a little like, but we'll work it out, right? The rest of the week, you know, I might like rally, but that's all I have for y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. As I share throughout Culture Week, shoulder roll. Listen, it's not as peppy as it usually is, right? But I'm here. I said I would go live every day, so I'm here. The little baby is snoozing, but I'm going to go check on her and see what she's up to. And yeah, stay safe, y'all. Stay sane. If you want to continue the conversation with me, feel free to DM me or shoot me an email, info@dorothyhenriquez.com, and we can absolutely chitter chat. With that, if there were some helpful nuggets in here around the current events and topics, or just around belonging and culture and leadership, share this video. Go ahead and hit the little paper plane in Instagram or the share button in Facebook. Go ahead and tell friends, you know, this was great. You know, I needed somebody to talk to me about this because my company didn't talk to me about it today. But yeah, that's all I have. I'll do a quick pose and then I will jump out of here so all y'all can get back to work. All right, y'all. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We will be back here tomorrow because you know what? Nevertheless, she persisted and our lives are in bloom. There's got to be a way that we could still make this our year. We cannot trash 2020 just yet. Shoulder rolls to everyone. Bye, guys. All right, Facebook. You get the last shoulder roll. Until tomorrow, y'all. Bye.